All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Uh, if you'd stand with me, we're going to have the invocation. Father, we thank you for this day, and I pray that you give us wisdom as we serve the citizens of our county and our cities and our customers. I pray, Father, that you would just be with all of us that have specific needs. And Lord, I just thank you so much for your son, Jesus. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Brother Boyle.
Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Blake Tuck.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Evan Ellis will lead us in the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Be seated. This time we're going to open up for public comments on any item that's on the agenda. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. When we get to the item on the agenda, you'll have another opportunity to speak or be asked questions. But at this time, we'd like to open it up for anybody with public comments. Are there any public comments on any agenda item at this time? Let the record show there's not. Next item on our agenda is item number 4, approval of minutes for the September 23rd, 2020 board meeting. The board members will look in their packet. We have a copy of those minutes. After you've had a chance to peruse those, we'll take it. I'll entertain a motion to accept those as presented by our administration.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Item number 5, discussion, consideration, and action regarding Taylor County Sheriff's Office request. Mr. Boyle or Mr. Wolfrat, who's going to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a holdover from the last meeting, and what we're doing is taking a look at where we are with the budget. As you know, we have made some changes in the budget, made some changes in the allocations and what our reimbursement strategy was last year. And frankly, we're looking at additional expenses this year. So I would recommend that we do not add any more reimbursements until we get that figured out, which would probably be August, September meeting.
Okay, agenda number 5 is the request for the certification pay. Basic certification is 1,000, intermediate 2,000, advanced 3, and master 4,000. We know that the Abilene Police Department funds their certification pay through city funds. In other words, it's not paid from the 911 budget. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if I understand correctly, the recommendation of the administration is to not do that at this time.
Correct, at this time.
Is there any comments from board members? Any public comment on this?
We're already getting.
You're going to have to come up here so they can hear you.
I didn't know this was going to be an agenda item today, otherwise I'd have been a little prepared, but all this request was to increase what we're already getting reimbursed by the 911 district.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. But
I don't know if I missed something, but yeah, y'all are already reimbursing the county for certification pay. This was just to increase it from what it is now.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not want to add additional expenditures until we've had a chance to revise the budget based on the 60% allocation that we changed last year. We may revisit every expenditure that's ongoing today or potentially ongoing in the future. And that's why I'm saying I do not want to spend additional money at this time.
And so our next board meeting is when?
September.
September. Okay, so at this point in time, I understand what you're saying. At this point in time, we need a yay or nay on this, and then this will have to be represented in such a way for our next board meeting.
I move we leave it on the table until we visit the budget. For next month.
Okay, we have a motion to leave it on the table instead of voting it up or down.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion be left on the table. Item number 6, swearing in appointed, reappointed board members. There was a nice lady that already did that for everybody that was here. So we'll pass on that. We'll go to item number 7, discussion, consideration, and action regarding Taylor County Sheriff's Office request for uninterrupted power supply.
Mr. Chairman, as you might know, the Taylor County Sheriff's Office PSAP is getting a refresh in July. The UPS, the uninterruptible power source that is upstairs, is currently out of warranty and alarming. It's obsolete, so we need to replace that so they will be able to operate.
And is that at the sheriff's at the sheriff's department?
It is at the LEC, yes.
That's at the LEC. And then 25% of the UPS capacity will use for purpose other than dispatch. What's that mean?
That means that Ms. Heitzen is going to use a percentage of that UPS for their other county servers and equipment. And
Okay.
75% of that UPS will be utilized by the dispatch itself.
What's UPS mean?
The uninterruptible power source.
You're really good at those acronyms.
I was Army.
I know. Any discussion from the board?
No, just historically, we these
Correct. We
nothing unusual.
we funded about the same percentage of the PD's UPS over at the new police department.
I motion that we fund 75% of the $115,000 price tag of $86,250 for the uninterrupted power supply for the Taylor County Sheriff's Office.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Item number 8. Discussion, consideration, action regarding Taylor County Sheriff's Office request for furniture.
Ms. Dyer has some chairs that are just falling apart over there and need replaced. Historically, we have funded furniture purchases for both PSAPs.
And explain, just so we can have it on the record, why does the 911 board deal with these chairs?
So the Health and Safety Code 772, Section 317, allowable expenses, states that allowable operating expenses of a district include all costs attributable to designing a 911 system and to all equipment and personnel necessary to establish and operate a public safety answering point.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? Questions from the board?
I move we fund these shares for the sheriff's office.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 9. Abilene Police Department request for recorder integration.
Ms. Makowicz, would you like to speak? I'm inviting Becky up because she is super excited about this addition to the PSAP over there.
It's nice to see you today.
Thank you. It's nice to see y'all. So at the Abilene Police Department, we have recently started using a service called Rapid SOS that utilizes the GPS information from mobile devices. It supplements our locating abilities through triangulating with the cell towers and gives us very, very accurate caller locations within about 5 meters. The service itself is free to all public service entities, and we have found that most of our integrations are already built and available to us at no cost as well. However, our recorder does have a fee to retain those records. As it stands, Rapid SOS only retains those that location data for about 10 hours after the call. We have a duty to the government code to retain information for its legal and historical value, however, and we would like to be able to do that with the recorder.
Being available to all public service entities, that specifically PSAPs?
Yes.
This is only for the PD PSAP.
Understood. So how long, when it mentions here, update locations as it detects movement, how long after a call does the location GPS remain active on your phone? How are you able to track individuals? I mean, is it only a certain time after a call, or is it that you're able to track folks? I mean, how does that work?
Right. So as soon as a call within our geofence, which is our city limit, as soon as they place a call on 911, that location data is sent from their cell phone to our PSAP through Rapid SOS. Most of the time, we actually get the ping on the phone before the 911 line even rings. It will continue to plot as it changes, as that device changes location throughout the call, and then for an additional 5 minutes after the call disconnects.
Okay.
But then Rapid SOS purges that information after 10 hours unless we have recorded it.
In other situations with this technology, are you able to activate locations on individuals without them calling?
No, it only is device initiated. We can't create like an exigent ping like we would for a normal cell phone coordinate.
Gotcha.
Becky, is it only for 911 calls and not for any other, like the non-emergency number?
At this time, it is only for 911 calls. There is an upgrade coming soon where the alarm companies will also be able to push through subscriber information to us if there's an alarm activation, but that is not active at this time. It's only on incoming 911 calls from cellular mobile devices.
I might mention that when I read this, I talked to one of the prosecutors who's the chief of the 104th District Court about the evidentiary value this might produce, and he was kind of excited about it. He thought it would probably be admissible under the same way a 911 recording is, and I think it has some potential there by retaining that, it has potential for prosecution.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. If I understand correctly, this comes as a recommendation from our administration to approve this request. Is there any other discussion?
Chairman, I move we approve the purchase of this recorder for Rapid SOS.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, discussion, consideration, and action regarding Taylor County Sheriff's Office hardware move.
As I mentioned earlier, the Taylor County Sheriff's Office is moving some equipment upstairs. This is for their recorder to be moved by the company that installs and maintains that recorder.
Okay. And Either I lost it or whatever. Is that what agenda item is this now?
10.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Yeah, it's that agenda item. We have a motion.
I move that the board fund the move of the main site recorder upstairs in conjunction with AT&T's equipment and sheriff's office.
I second.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we get to item number 11. Discussion and approval of adjusting the emergency service fee for fiscal year 2021. This has been on my radar for too long now. I've had conversations with people all over Taylor County, and some very nice people from Missouri are here today. Mr. Davidson, why don't you introduce yourself? And
Keith Davidson, CFO of Vexus Fiber.
Robin Davidson, I'm the compliance officer of Vexus Fiber. Thank you all for having us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, this all started with me when I got an email from one of these two guys. I can't remember which one. And we had our pregnancy association or business or whatever the deal was. What was the company's name? Huh? Are you? I'm so glad you're here. Would you introduce yourself?
I'm just the office manager for Pregnancy Resources. We're a nonprofit that helps women with the crisis pregnancy and offer counseling and classes.
Thank you. So anyway, their 911 fee on their bill went up remarkably. I think the email said 300 something %. And I don't know who your phone provider is, but the 911 board was contacted about the issue. And so now I'm going to turn it over to either one of these two guys to talk about what happened and where we are on this and why this needs to be an agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that given the rate increases that we had from our service provider, AT&T, it forced a relook at the amount of money that is collected for the 6% as a result of the increase in fees. Our obligation under statute, which we affirm to, is to collect enough money to operate the district, but not over-collect nor under-collect. And so the reason that you have agenda item number 11 is we believe that we're on a track to continue to over-collect, and we're trying to adjust that by reducing the percentage of the 911 fee from that service provider rate. We note that also we're approaching our September meeting. We also note that the telecommunication carriers have up to 4 months to get whatever change in rate implemented before they start actually paying for that rate change. So this kind of gives us a little bit of a pause, and we're going to, again, relook at all the financials before the September board meeting and find out where we're going to be in the next 18 months so we can make a reasoned recommendation to the board then. But this is a reaction to the increase in the AT&T service rates, which then spirals down to all of the communication providers out there and the 6% that they're collecting on our behalf.
Thank you. So this kind of struck me because when you hear this big rate increase, it shocked me because the board hasn't changed its percentage since I've been chairman.
Since 2006.
So we've been collecting 6% since 2006.
Yes, sir.
And that's been our operating budget, and that's everything we did.
Correct.
And so in 4 months ago or so, something happened. And before I am for changing any rates, I want to know what happened.
So AT&T is our principal service provider.
Yes.
They set their base rate for residential lines, business lines, and trunk lines. They have increased over the last 2 years. The business lines have increased from $145 to $279. The trunk lines have increased from $145 to $370. So by leaving our collection percentage at the same, it reflected those costs back down to the citizens.
Okay. So my next question is, I called Taylor Telecom. All of their people didn't have the same rate increase. I called Taylor County. I talked to our auditor. I talked to the people who get the bills. Our 911 bills didn't have a 300% increase. And so why is it happening with Vexus? And why is it happening with Suddenlink? And it's not happening with those others? Do your Vexus people want to chime in on this?
Thanks again for having us
This
today.
is a public comment on this.
And I have some handouts that I would like to walk you through. I've got enough.
I don't need one. You can make sure they have
one.
one.
Or just straight to the board? So we can all be on the same page. What I'm talking about.
Wait till you get to this is being recorded, so wait till you get to the mic.
Okay, so. So the first handout I would like to draw your attention to is the comparison of the county 911 fees. And as you can see, the Abilene-Taylor County is the $16.74 flat rate. And then on the next page, that's just the actual list of all of the counties' 911 rates, the resi and the commercial. And again, you can see the Taylor County fee is at that whopping $16.74. Now, I'm not sure if we were the only carrier in Suddenlink that changed ours to the $16.74. The document that we used was the rate increase letter, and that's on this second set of documents that I gave you. It's the next to the last page, and it's this October 1st fee increase. We'll flip over one more, go towards the end. There you go. And I have it highlighted in yellow. So we read this as you calculated, yes, the 6% of their new 294 commercial rate to come up with the 1674. And I understand your calculations completely. And yes, you've never increased since I think your 2006 at the 6%. So again, it says the flat rate changed due to AT&T. So we went in and changed our flat rate per commercial line to the 1674, which is huge. We got a lot of pushback from customers, and I would like to show you, refer to this, an actual customer's invoice to see the impact that this is causing. If you look at page 1 of this Vexus Fiber bill, you will see the new charges summarized. The service charges are $588 for the month. The taxes alone are $488 on that $588 worth of services. So you say, why is that so large? So let's go to page 4 of the Vexus bill, which is the last. Okay. So let's look at that E911 rate. That's $302.40 this customer is being charged. And the reason that is, we put in our billings, one of my jobs is to ensure that we get all of the taxes and fees that you see here on this bill into our system for the right rate. We get them collected, and then we remit those fees to the state, local, and the Fed governments, okay? So that's what I do. And when I see a bill like this, that's a concern, and that's a big issue. So the reason we arrived at this $300 is every line, every phone number on this commercial account is getting a $16.74 charge per line, because that's how we interpreted this October 1st rate increase notice. So that's why we're here today, is to discuss this and come up with some sort of solution of, are we charging the right rates? And if we're not, we would just love to get to an agreement on what is the correct. Should it really just be a 6% commercial line and not this $16.74 per business line?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Would you like to speak? Thank you for being here today.
Yes, I'm a little out of my element, but I will give you the information I have. Our bill, the 911 fee, we go through Centrelink. The 911 fee line a few months ago was $43.50, and I looked back 2 years and it would hovered around $40, $37, and has gone up 16% over the last 2 years, which is understandable. But in March, it went up to $83.70. And it was $83.70 in April. And then May's bill, the 911 fee was $167.40. And similar to that Vexus bill, our monthly charges from Suddenlink are $192.70, and then our 911 fee is $167.40, which is a 385% increase over what we were charged at the beginning of the year. And it was shocking. Of course, there was no warning. Apparently, it sounds like y'all didn't have a warning either that it was going to go up. So when I saw that, it was very concerning. We are a nonprofit. We operate off of donations. And, there's no recourse. When you call Suddenlink, they say, we don't have any control over this. We can't help you. Talk to your local people. And it was kind of difficult to track down who I even needed to talk to about this. But I did get very nice replies from two of you, and appreciated the information and explaining why this happened. But we would appreciate some sort of help in getting that back down to a more reasonable level.
Thank you for being here so much. So my next question is, these lines that are being charged $16.74, are those one phone numbers? In other words, is there one phone number, and then under this phone number, what is it, a PRI or a trunk or whatever you call that? So is this being charged correctly is y'all's business. What I'm trying to find out is if y'all are not charging correctly, how do we find out that? In other words, it's not up to us to tell you how to run your business. But at the same point in time, if you interpret it the right way or the wrong way, I don't know. But I just know in Taylor County we have hundreds of lines, and none of them went up 300-something%. AT&T is our primary carrier. And I know with Taylor Telephone, none of them went up 300-something%. So I'm trying to figure out why we're at this point here where I feel like a heel because we've charged the pregnancy people almost their total bill for, you see what I'm trying to say? So how are we going to find that out?
So maybe the solution is we can equivalize our bill and figure out, 6%, for example. We don't, AT&T, $270 for a line. We'd be bankrupt if we charged $270 a line. If you'd pay $270 to have a phone at your house, I don't think so. We can't sell it for that. So if we charge 6% on our customers or PRIs or our hosted PBX or our other products, we can figure all that out and do it. And if a guideline is 6%, we can just take care of that if we just get a blessing to do it. All we've got is the letter that says charge $16. And you may be right, Taylor County or whoever may just say, we're not going to do that. That's dumb. We're just going to take care of it. I don't know what they're doing, but I assume they just say, if we charge $16, we're going to be run out of the county. And they may have just taken it upon themselves to interpret what you tried to do. I don't know that. But I think if a guideline of some kind of 6%, I think we can just take care of it if we kind of get a half blessing to go ahead and do it. But that's up to you guys, if that makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, by statute, we're required to use the base rate of the principal service supplier, which is AT&T for our county. We have to, they issue us these base rates, and we assess our fee against that. The only thing we can do is adjust our percentage on their base rate.
And so, for the last 4 months, have people been not paying their 911 bill the way they're supposed to?
No, they have been paying them.
I'm talking about the other companies that haven't had this historic increase.
I do not know.
Well, who would know that?
No way that they've done any increase if they've been paying the same. It's just.
I mean, there's a regular increase. All I'm trying to do is
they had to have had some increase because the fee has increased 100% over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
For business and
in Taylor County, our increase from a year ago, our 911 fee increase from a year ago today has been right in the area of 60 to 70% on some of the lines.
Right.
I understand that. But this is not what these people are talking about. And so I'm trying to fix the issue so we don't have it anymore down the line. But I can't really, with clear conscience, fix the issue. The board can't, with a clear conscience, in my opinion, fix the issue until we know the cause of the issue and the discrepancy that I was told about as I looked through all this. And so what I want to do is find these people some relief. And y'all's recommendation is going to do that. But even at 2%, what's their bill going to be? If we do it the same if we do the same situation, and then that 2% doesn't take effect for 4 months down the line, correct?
Correct. It will reduce the fee for a business line from $16.74 to $5.58. And it will reduce the trunk lines from $22.20 to $7.40.
Okay. And so when we vote on every year the 6%, when we vote every year on 6%, which we've done, this change took place because of something that AT&T did?
Correct.
I just don't understand how this is such big discrepancy with so many different companies. And we're not in a company business, so.
No, sir.
Okay, I understand. Does any of the board members have any comments they want to talk about with this?
Referring to this chart that you provided to us, I don't understand why Bear County, for instance, is 50 cents. We're $1 and we're $16.74. Is that because Bear County reduced their rate?
That's the only thing that I can.
Did not get raised by AT&T.
Either that or they reduced their rate, and this is why this is frustrating to me. Is I don't like doing anything. I don't like putting a fix on anything unless I know what I'm fixing. And that's just my deal. And we can reduce this by 2% and go on about our business, but I don't know that we've got to the core of what's going on here, and that's what I'd like to know as a 911 board chairman, so that I can at least talk to somebody logically about the circumstances.
And so to be clear, the 1674 per business line, that is correct. Individuals are to be charged 1674 per business line, and that is not per entity.
At the moment, yes. With our 6% fee.
It's actually the business service rate of AT&T.
Right.
So they're translating that into their own business line from that.
And what does a business trunk constitute?
A trunk?
Correct.
A trunk is a group of lines going from a PBX or a PRI to the service provider.
And so, like, at the Pregnancy Resource Center, they have one phone number, correct, ma'am? 4 phone numbers. And then those 4 phone numbers are each charged $16.74?
It doesn't say that on our bill, so I don't know where they're coming up with. There's just one line that says 911 fee.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If they have 4 phone numbers, why was 1674 times 4 is whatever it is, but it's not $300-something, is it?
No.
That's about $67 for her 4 lines.
Yeah. So where is this going? Where is the discrepancy? Okay. So I don't think we're going to get the answers that we want from this today. So I want to instruct our administration, if you possibly can, we need somebody from AT&T to explain to me, to the board, how this is supposed to be. In the legislation, if we're following the rules in the health and safety code, is that where our rules are?
Yes, sir.
And if we're following the rules in the health and safety code, and we've been charging 6% this whole time, and then AT&T went up, and then they received a letter from us saying that you're going to have to pay this much more.
One more comment. I'm sorry, but in closing, I mean, the reason we're at such a big gap is, okay, AT&T is the ILAC. We all understand that. Their business line is $279, and 6% of that is probably reasonable at $16.74. But that, if you put that into a ratio, a simple cross multiplication factor into a base rate of $34 per business line, which is what we charge in some accounts, that's 55%. Giving a customer $16.74 charge is 55% of that base commercial rate. Our rate is not $279. If our rate was $279, then that makes perfect sense. Am I the only one that's getting that? I wish I had a...
By statute, we're required to use the base rate of our principal service supplier, which is AT&T.
But that's black and white. That is just unreasonable. There's no way any human would pay that.
That's why we're adjusting the fee.
$300. I mean, and her poor company.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
You don't have to convince
All right.
me.
I just wanted to make sure everyone understood this example here.
I got it.
Okay. Thank you.
What I'm trying to figure out now is, so that we can move forward today, is we need to make a determination on the recommendation of the board to lower our 911 fee from 6% to 2%. And then in 4 months, when we have our next building, this needs to be on the agenda again, so that I can understand the specifics, and so the board can understand the specifics of how we got to this point. We have a very, very dedicated administration. 3 people that work very hard to do the right thing for our county and our city. And you have a board that's determined to fix this and to do the right for the city. I mean, for the citizens. And so as we move forward, I just want to be able on our next meeting to be able to understand clearly how this works. We're not in the business of telling y'all how to run your business, what to charge, whatever, but we are going to do what's best for the 911 district. That's my job. And what's best for the 911 district is to serve the citizens of Abilene, Taylor County, the best that we can. But I can't do that with clear understanding until I know how we got to this point. And there's more technical stuff here that nobody here knows. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. So the recommendation of our board is to change our percentage from 6% to 2% at this point in time. Is there any more discussion from the board at this time?
Using the bill that you provided us for Allied Employer Group, it looks like there's 18, they have 18 lines. And at 1674, that adds $302 to their bill. By reducing it to 2%, $5.58 per line is about, it adds $100 to their bill for 18. That still seems like a lot. It's 25% of their phone bill. But so if this is corrected or AT&T changes or whatever, then we come back, we revisit this and raise our rate again, possibly. Or this is a temporary.
Our rates are based on what our projected income is going to be every year. And we have to have a certain amount of money every year to fund the things that the board is voted on. They're all within the statute. And then we also have to have some money there in case there's some big issue that happens that the 911 board has to come in and fix so that our citizens don't lose 911 service. Our job is not to put an undue tax on the citizens, but it is to fulfill the requirement that every citizen have access to 911 services. So every year, this has not been an issue until this year, and that's why I want to know what changed. And I still am not clear on that.
AT&T's base rate is the only thing that changed on our end. It's the only thing we have control over is how we assess our fee on that.
If AT&T base rate, I mean, surely somebody from AT&T can understand this.
We reached out to AT&T to invite them and to ask for comment, and we did not hear back.
Yeah. So maybe we can work on that till our next meeting.
Sure.
And the other question, Mr. Chairman, for me would be what did the other 911 districts do to avoid, how did they avoid theirs going up there?
That's a great question.
Have they already had this meeting, or did AT&T not raise their rate?
I do not know.
We don't know, but we can definitely put that on the agenda and find out what the comparison is. But I think there's two factors. Who is their principal service provider, assuming it's AT&T? And then the second one is what percentage did their board approve historically, and kind of do a compare and contrast and see where we're at.
Yeah. What other Texas counties do y'all do business in?
On that list.
So y'all are in all those counties?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, do I have a recommendation or a motion from the board?
I had one last question. In order to meet the needs of the district and as new projects come, is it a simple matter of coming before the board to manipulate the percentage at any point in time?
By statute, you set it annually, and we usually do that at our annual budget meeting.
It's just not something that we've done for a really long time.
Oh, we do it every year.
We do it. You make a motion and approve the 6% every year.
Right. Well, but we just haven't altered it from 6% for quite a while.
Correct. It's kind of, since 2006, it's just kind of carried as business as usual.
Right.
And it's always been good?
It's always been fine. We were unaware of the increase at the last board meeting.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, to provide some relief for small businesses here, I move that we reduce our rate to 2% collection fee for the 911.
I second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item on our agenda is from this, can I see that? I already put mine up. Consent and waiver of conflict of interest. Ma'am?
I'll come up here so that I can see you. I'm Kelly Messer. I'm First Assistant City Attorney for the City of Abilene. And so the reason I'm here is that your agreement with the city is that the city will provide staff for the 911 board. And because we are the attorneys for the city and their city staff, we're kind of, I guess you kind of get us too, and we're lumped along. And one example is that we review all of the agendas before they're posted to make sure that they're legal. And we do this for all of our city boards. But there is some uncertainty as to who do we represent when it comes to boards that are not just city boards. Obviously, the city council is a city board. This board is not, but then you have the complication of city staff is working for this board. And so what this is, we're trying to have this in place for all of our non-city boards that we advise, and it just gives clarity. And so if there's ever some ethical conflict of interest, not saying there is, I can't think of an example, but if there ever is, this agreement says that you accept that, you waive that conflict until you either ask the city to withdraw or the city says we need to withdraw. And it just lays it out so that if there's no confusion and that you say you do want us to provide some kind of representation. Like, for example, we go to most of these non-city board meetings. We often what we do is just from the open meetings agenda review type perspective, unless we're specifically asked a legal question. But this clearly says that we can provide some legal representation. We're sort of doing it through city staff anyway, unless there's a conflict where you ask us to withdraw or we say we need to withdraw. So that's what this is. We're just trying to have this in place for our non-city boards so that everything is a little bit more clear for us.
Questions from the board? The only question that I have, and this was the same question I had a long time ago, is if something happens and the board has some kind of issue legally and the city of Abilene doesn't want to be associated with that, and so do we still have the city of Abilene's attorneys to take care of the board? Does that make sense?
So we have to represent the city first. Yes. I mean, the city council is our client. Uh-huh. And so then there could be, hypothetically, the case where we also represent another board and the council, being the city because of like this agreement. And we really have to represent, if we knew of a conflict, we would have to represent the city first and we would withdraw. But this just says until you or we recognize that, you're going to waive any potential conflicts. And then if you want to hire your own attorney, there's other boards, for example, the Fireman's Pension Board. The statute says the city attorney's office will represent them. Now, so we represent them and help them out, but they also have their pension attorney specialist that they directly hire. And so, you'd always have the right to do that. This just makes it a little bit more clear for us because we want to do things the right way.
I don't have a problem with this.
I don't either.
Let's get a motion.
Thank you.
I move to approve the consent and waiver of conflict of interest form presented by City Attorney.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I think the last agenda item is the motion to dismiss.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for being here.